Hi, welcome to class. My name is Don LaFawn, Professor Don, and this week in our A+ hardware class, we are covering Chapter 8 Multimedia Devices. Now, this is a quick presentation, should be about 30 minutes, maybe 45 at the most, if I get long-winded on any one topic. But it should be pretty quick, right to the point, easy concepts to learn. If you are here with me live, please hold your question until the end of the presentation, and I will give you an opportunity to ask questions. If you are watching this video inside of our Canvas classroom, please ask your questions inside of the help discussion forums, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. And if you are watching this on YouTube, first of all, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining my channel and watching this video. We are working on our A+ certification. This is part of a series on hardware, and there's also a series on software. So hopefully you check out all those videos and they help you to earn your certification, your A+ certification. All right, so I have the presentation there. Ask your questions if you have any down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer those questions. But of course, by all means, feel free to help each other out. That's the best way when a community is built and people help each other to learn. So we are talking today about multimedia devices. Our soft skill that we're going to start with is your attitude, not in a bad way. It's in a good way. We'll talk about multimedia overview, optical disc overview, optical drive interfaces, um, optical disc drives and disc preventative maintenance, motherboard audio ports. We'll talk about installing sound cards, scanners, and then we'll finish with installing and configuring some other peripheral devices. So the first thing we talk about is the soft skills, qualities of good tech. We'll talk about attitude. Now, some consider having a good attitude as simply being positive at work, but that's not the entire picture. A technician with a good attitude has the following traits. He's proactive. I actually spend about 5 to 7 minutes talking about just being proactive in the software class, my A+ software course last week. So proactive, not reactive, means to troubleshoot ahead of time, prepare ahead of time, make notes ahead of time. Don't wait until the boss tells you to do something. Try to be ahead of the boss when it comes to ensuring that your equipment is up and running and you are prepared in case of downtime. For example, if you have a piece of equipment that has parts, make sure you have backups to those parts in stock. So if something goes down, something breaks, you can quickly replace it. For example, a computer, a hard drive, RAM, video cards, you should have backups so that you can jump in and replace it right away. Or if you're not reactive, then when that piece of equipment, say a computer goes down because of a bad video card, you've got to at that point order a part or drive to the local store to buy a part, and that's going to take time. So make sure you're proactive and try to set stuff up in advance so that when there's a problem, you are ready for it. Project confidence. Seek solutions instead of providing excuses. Nobody needs excuses, right? Your equipment goes down. Don't blame it on other people. Don't blame it on the company. Don't blame it on the equipment itself. Just find the solution and offer that solution to fixing the problem. Accept responsibility for your actions. Again, no excuses, no whining, no blaming it on other people. Just accept the responsibility. If, for example, you fry a hard drive, make sure, hopefully, you made a backup ahead of time so that you can replace that data. I've heard of people being sued and losing money for not backing up their companies or their clients' data before replacing a hard drive and losing that data and costing companies a lot of money. And then, of course, the technicians is important. That might fall back to proactive. Back up the data first. That's easy to do, fast to do. If the company doesn't have a backup already, maybe you can provide them a backup and find a backup solution to solve that problem. Whole different topic. Deal with priority changes professionally. It is not unusual for when you're in a corporation, any corporation, every corporation, for the your directions to change on a day-to-day basis. Today, they may say that upgrading hard drive, upgrading the lab is the most important thing to do this week. And then the next day, a server goes down and they shift you quickly to work on the server to bring it up. Obviously, the email server being down is a higher priority than updating the software in a lab. So it's just an example of be flexible and deal with priority changes as they come gracefully. Cooperate and enjoy working with others. A lot of tech people think that all they need is a rubber room and a computer in front of them and they want to work independently. But in today's work environment, environment, we can't possibly know everything about everything. It's not possible. You might be an expert in networking and not know anything at all about programming. You might, or very little. You might know everything about programming, but know nothing about replacing hard drives in a computer. So you need to cooperate with other people to be able to work as a team to solve problems. Database people, right? They can't know how to program uh, multiple languages and troubleshoot hardware issues and network computers. If you got all those skills, you're making a lot of money in today's world. And guess what? Tomorrow, everything changes. Everything's upgraded. Technology improves every day, and you need to keep on top of it. So if you know everything today, tomorrow you won't. I promise you. Maintain professionalism even when working with a coworker who is unethical, unprofessional, and uncooperative. I personally have had this experience before, and it's extremely difficult to work with unprofessional, unethical, and uncooperative coworkers. But guess what? When you lose your temper, when you uh, make a fool of yourself, it's you that loses in that deal. The best you can do is is be a professional team player, follow the rules, and that other person, the unprofessional, uncooperative person, he or she will have their day where they lose their job or get in trouble for acting the way they do. You must maintain professionalism. It's always you who looks bad when you lash out at somebody that's not doing their job right or not doing it well or maybe doesn't have the customer or the company in view or the best light. Embrace problems as challenges to learn and develop skills. Remember, as I mentioned a moment ago, you don't know everything as a technician. You can't. It's impossible. So you are absolutely going to run into problems and challenges. And as you run into those challenges, they're not something to push you down. They're opportunities for you to learn and to grow and develop new skills. Absolutely embrace the problems you run to. If you have to call in a level 2 tech to solve a problem that you're not familiar with, that's fine. Don't feel bad about it. Again, maybe they've been working at it longer. They have more experience with the equipment, more training. Follow up, find out what the solution was, and try to develop strategies to deal with those kind of problems or challenges in the future without having to call level 2. Multimedia and drives. There are many types of multimedia devices, and this chapter focuses on the most popular areas: optical drive technology, sound cards, cameras, and speakers. Now, I just want to open optical disk drives with the statement that when this A plus certification was released, it really, optical drives were everywhere. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it was common for optical disk drives to be included in new computers. But in the push for everything to get smaller, laptops, tablets, everything to be smaller. There was no space and no room for CDs. So the industry had to come up with something different. And what they did, instead of having this big bulky CD-ROM taking all that space, or DVD taking all that space, what they did was they pretty much made everything downloadable. I can't remember the last time I needed a CD-ROM to load a driver or a program onto my computer. Can't remember it. It's got to be years. So right now, if you're scoffing at the idea of learning about optical disk drives my statement that they're common, know that there are CD drives, DVD drives, and Blu-ray drives still out in the field, and you will run across them, and you may have to troubleshoot those devices. Most likely, and I don't know what the next certification level will be, but most likely I would think that CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays, any optical disc drive is removed from the certification, but I'm not sure. With today, most software patches pushed out to you via software, downloads, upgrades to software. If you buy software online, it's all downloadable. CD-ROMs are going the way of the floppy disk. Who remembers a floppy disk? We won't talk about that now, but you notice we don't test on floppy disks anymore for the same exact reason. Lack of use. We don't use them anymore. I have some floppies I'd like to be able to take the information off of. Someday I might buy a removable, a remote USB floppy drive just to be able to get at those. But let's go ahead and talk about them because they are testable on today's A+ certification. So a compact disc, CD, often is used for music and purchased applications. A digital video disc, DVD, often used for movies, backing up data, or purchased applications. Blu-ray drives tend to be used for high-end film distribution and video games because they have more space on them. I think 12. I don't want to throw out any numbers. I apologize. The textbook has the size-wise of all of these devices. Let me pause and see if I can pull that up. All right. It was only a moment for you, but I just made a change to the PowerPoint to add the data limit. So a CD, often used for music, 700 megabytes of data. I actually remember trying to back up a hard drive back in the days of 1 gigabit hard drives with CDs, and I had to have a stack to burn a backup of that 1 gigabit drive. Thinking about each one of those compact discs is less than 1 gigabit. So you would need 15 or so discs to back up just 1 gigabit. Digital video discs, 4.2 for single layer, and if you're using both sides of the disc, it's 8.5 gigabit. And then Blu-ray, 25 gigabit for single layer and 50 gigabit if you're using both sides dual layer. So you can see there's a heck of a big difference between Blu-ray and using a Blu-ray drive as a backup. And you can use ODDs, optical disk drives, as backup. Gig gives you a lot of backup space, and then you send that off. It's an alternative to a tape backup, for example. Keep going. Features. ODDs, optical disk drives with an R, can only be read from the disk. If you see an RW or an RE, it means that you can read and write on that same disk. And then DL indicates that it has dual layer. That was the 50 gigabit 50 gigabit Blu-ray that I just mentioned. This is what the front side, and it doesn't have to be a standard size DVD. You can get slim versions as well, but this takes up a normal hard drive slot in a computer. Has an emergency eject hole if this window is not opening. A headphone jack, so you can listen to it through the headphones instead of your speakers. Headphone volume, perhaps forward, stop, eject buttons on the front. Often, I was looking up at my computer to see what my buttons have, but I don't have a DVD player anymore on my computer. I have no idea why. I just looked up at it. But the buttons on the front of that DVD player or CD player control. I haven't used a CD and I can't remember. It's got to be 10 years since I've had, maybe more than that, since a CD player has been in my computer. But I have had Blu-ray drives. How does it work? Well, inside of a CD-ROM, there's a platter. On the platter, you have a laser. If it's just a read, a disk drive that just reads, it's reading pits and lands. A pit is a non-reflective burned area in the space, and it reflects a 1. A land is a reflected area, and it's has not been burned, so it just reflects the light. That's reflected to some mirrors, and the mirrors turn the laser beam is turned into ones and zeros. If there's a light or no light, you get a 1 or a 0 based on the reflection. Now, if you purchase a CD and it's not something you can write on, that CD-ROM drive comes with that CD just goes in your drive and you can read to it. So say you purchase a game online, and I mean, purchase a game and it comes to you, put it in the slot, and it just plays the game. You can't write to it. But they have rewritable drives. I just mentioned them on the previous slide. And I also talked about backing up data to it. Well, your laser burns the pits in the drive, it burns the coating on the drive, and it makes non-reflective uh, areas representing ones, the non-reflective area being a 1. It leaves the zeros. Whatever it doesn't burn is reflected as is still reflective, and it ends up being a 0. So you got it for our exam. You have to know what a pit and a land is. A pit is a 1, non-reflective, and a land is a 0. It is reflective. The interfaces. So the following help you decide which optical drive interface to recommend. If you have to go in and troubleshoot for a company and fix their drives. If you're using an internal drive, open the disk to see if the drive bay is available. If there's an available drive bay, internal drive bay, actually it has to be external, because you have to be able to access that drive bay. It'll slide into the internal portion of the drive bay, but obviously you have to access a CD-ROM from the outside. Check to see if you have a power connector and an available SATA or IDE. But let's go with SATA connection to connect that CD-ROM drive. Now, if it's external, it's sitting on the side of the computer, then you want to check to see what kind of connections are they eSATA, USB, IEEE 1394 FireWire ports. What are available for that drive? You may want to check before you order the drive to make sure you have a drive that has the same kind of connections that your computer has. If you're replacing an existing drive, just see how it is currently connected. Check with the customer about features such as buffered memory and writing labels to ensure that the problem is not related to other components in the computer. They talk about maintenance on these drives. Now, it's always a good idea to handle the disk from the edges and keep the disk in a sleeve or case, a sleeve in a case, to aid in good performance. Never touch the disk surface. Store disks in a cool location. Special cleaning disks, cloths, and kits are available for cleaning optical disks. Mild abrasives or even special repair kits can be used to repair disks. Now, I have actually in the past owned CD-ROMs that actually clean the mirror, clean not the laser, but the reflective, the reading mirror that the laser bounces off of. And it's basically a little brush in a one little spot on the CD-ROM. I don't have a picture of it, But as it spins inside of the drive, it actually, the little brush brushes the mirror and takes off any kind of debris. So if your CD-ROM is not working properly, you might consider trying one of those little CD-ROM discs. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, so I went ahead and went online, and it's not a disk cleaning. Okay, so I. Okay, so the so I went ahead and modified this. I went ahead and found. Thank you for coming to class. I appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll see you again in a week. Sorry, I can't see the stop button, but I'll see you again in a week. Have fun learning about technology, and good luck prepping for that A+ certification exam. See you then. Bye.